Testing, testing, testing. Hey, hey, hey. Can everyone hear me out there? Everyone come on in. Everyone come on in. Let's find a shady spot.
If you're just tuning in, we're about to start. People are starting to gather. A little core of people here, which is a feat for a situation where we do not have control of the media, and this is kept to a secret.
Can everyone hear me?
So bear with us. We're getting rolling here. We're getting started. People are gathering. They're coming in little groups of 3 and 4. And I guess things are going to get started soon, pretty soon. So hang in there.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for coming to the March for Medicare for All. Can everyone hear me? Give me a big, give me a big cheer if you can hear me. All right. Welcome to the March for Medicare for All.
Yeah, pretty much.
Welcome to the March for Health Justice. Welcome to the beginning of the end of the medical industrial complex. The for-profit insurers and the insulin cartels. Welcome to the march for patients and for healthcare workers. Welcome to the march for people over profits. Welcome to the march for healthcare as a human right. Welcome to the march for Medicare for all. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Campbell, but I also go by Camblicated, the bionic rhapsodist. Camblicated, the bionic rhapsodist. I was sent back in time from the future to Baltimore in the year 1986 so that I might experience a health struggle, so that I might be able to contribute to this movement for health justice. I'm not making this up. At age 6, I battled leukemia. I had a port implanted in my chest so that I could receive chemotherapy. And since 2003, I've been wired up to this insulin pump. It regulates my blood sugar. These devices are truly amazing, and they've kept me alive, but also in a permanent state of debt. Insulin cartels, for-profit insurers, hospitals, and medical device suppliers deny me much of the care I need through all manner of profit-driven schemes. Over the years, I've rationed medical supplies, paid exorbitant prices for the drugs I need to stay alive, skipped doctor's visits, and spent hours on the phone battling prior authorization requests and other bogus claims denials. All of this has certainly impacted my health and well-being, and I could be considered fortunate when compared to many of our neighbors. Still, there are those who might dismiss my request for a dignified life. Well, but you're just a musician. She's just a teacher. He's just a waiter. They are just Uber drivers. Doesn't it seem like the goalposts are always shifting so that more and more of our friends and family aren't considered worthy of good health care? And even for those with good health insurance, your premiums and deductibles are always climbing, while your coverage and networks are shrinking. And this is before you even file a claim. We are here today because we've had enough of this decrepit, multi-tier system of healthcare. We're sick of 42% of cancer patients going bankrupt. And we've had it with the political apathy, cynicism, greed, and corruption that allows the medical industrial complex to treat the medically insecure, to allow them to continue to suffer. We are here to pass Medicare for all and establish health care as a human right. So we're going to kick this off. I'm happy to be joined here today by my comrades in the North New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America Medicare for All Working Group. In our working group, we believe in a grassroots approach to Medicare for All. This means centering issues affecting patients and healthcare workers here in Newark, Jersey City, and all around the region. We've been developing some tools to do just that, which we'd like to share with you. And we've got Stan over here. Where's Stan? Stan's here. He's got water and snacks, and he's got business cards with QR codes on them that you can scan to see the tools that we've been building to call our senators to share your healthcare story if you have a high medical bill. But I have a lot more experience playing music than I do organizing. So we are very fortunate to be joined by some wonderful speakers today. They include some veterans in the battle for health justice, as well as some newer voices offering new avenues of thinking on the issue. We must consider their words and coordinate and organize our communities to engage in the kind of long-term pressure campaign that will be necessary to establish single-payer healthcare system here in the United States. Healthcare is a human right. Medicare for all. Yesterday. Now I'm going to introduce a wonderful group. They're here to perform for us. This is the Solidarity Singers that you see before you here from the New Jersey Industrial Union Council. We're going to bring it down a little bit here, and I think we're going to be accompanying them. So without further ado.
Thank you. We are... We are the Solidarity Singers of the New Jersey Industrial Union Council. We're going to sing a few songs. We're mostly acoustic, so you got to listen to us, but they're mostly sing-along songs. I'll generally be shouting out the line you need to sing. We're going to start with This Little Light of Mine, which I'm sure you all know. At least the first verse. The other verse will change. Here we go. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Medicare for all is what we really need. Medicare for all is what we really need. Medicare for all is what we really need. justice for the 99%. Economic justice for the 99%. Economic justice for the 99%. Economic justice for the 99. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Time to raise the wage, $15 now. $15 now. Let's start it together, okay? $15 now. Hold it out to them. If we're going to start it out together. $15 now.
People before profits.
People before profits. Down with corporate greed. People before profits. Down with corporate greed. People before profits. Down with corporate greed. Down with greed. Down with greed. Down with greed.
It's time to stop gun violence.
Time to stop gun violence. Let the peace light shine. Time to stop gun violence. Let the peace light shine. Time to stop gun violence. Let the peace light shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Raise taxes on the mega rich.
Raise taxes on the mega rich. No, it's more than time. Raise taxes on the mega rich. No, it's more than time. Raise taxes on the mega rich. No, it's more than time. Tax the rich. Tax the rich. Tax the rich.
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all is what we really need. Medicare for all is what we really need. Medicare for all is what we really need. Need it now. Need it now. Need it now. Now. Need it now. Need it now.
We're going to sing a version of This Land Is Your Land called Healthcare is a Right for You and Me. And you can certainly sing that line along with us.
Healthcare is my right. If we try to take it, Plutocracy, laced with theocracy, drenched in hypocrisy. But when our dollars drown rich and dollars, take back this land for you and me. Healthcare is your right. Healthcare is my right. We're trying to take it. We're gonna fight, fight. Tax breaks for the wealthy. Don't make us healthy. Healthcare's a right for you and me. Keep that line. Healthcare's a right for you and me. One last time. Healthcare's a right for you and me.
Our final song, at least for now, is going to be... Okay, we're going to sing Soon and Very Soon. The first line keeps repeating, and Carol will pull it out.
Very soon, we're going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. It'll last forever and ever. Going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, we'll have health care for all.
Soon and very soon, we will have health care for all. Soon and very soon, we will have health care for all. Soon and very soon, we will have health care for all. Single payer forever, going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, we'll all have a living wage.
Soon and very soon, we'll all have a living wage. Soon and very soon, we'll all have a living wage. Soon and very soon, we'll all have a living wage. It'll last forever and ever. Going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, the rich will pay their share.
Soon and very soon, the rich will pay their share. Soon and very soon, the rich will pay their share. Soon and very soon, the rich will pay their share. Living bosses, not workers, going to change the world.
Soon and very soon, people power will prevail.
Soon and very soon, people power will prevail. Soon and very soon, people power will prevail. Soon and very soon, people power will prevail. People power forever, going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. Soon and very soon, we are going to change the world. It'll last forever and ever. We're going to change the world.
People power forever.
Thank you. We're the Solidarity Singers to the New Jersey Industrial Union Council. We're turning this back over to Cam.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking around here, coming out to the March for Medicare for All. And it's been our pleasure to be performing for you. Great to hear from the Solidarity Singers. That was excellent. Now we're going to begin the speaking portion of our event. So we're going to bring somebody up first who needs no introduction. She is the chair, president of the New Jersey Industrial Union Council, and has been fighting this battle for decades. Please welcome Carol Gay. Let's hear it.
Good morning. Actually,
I think we're getting there. We're getting somewhere. Go ahead.
hello.
We're getting there.
I was going to say good morning.
Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Try this one.
Good morning. I was actually going to say good morning, but I think it may be good afternoon. So, welcome everybody. Welcome, sisters and brothers. It is so great to be out here today, marching and rallying for health care for all, Medicare for all. It's a great day for this. It's a beautiful day for this. And we're going to keep doing it, right? We are not alone today. This is happening in more than 50 cities nationwide. Nationwide, more than 50, and maybe over 60 now. So, anyway, as he said, I'm a president of the New Jersey Industrial Union Council and a board member of New Jersey Universal Healthcare Coalition. And we are proud supporters of Medicare for All and have been advocating for single-payer universal health care for more than 3 decades. So, we're not going to give up, right? And why are we not going to give up? We're never going to give up until we get single-payer universal health care, Medicare for all, because Medicare for all is the best solution. We all know that. It is the only solution that will achieve truly universal, affordable, quality health care for all. We know that people cannot afford health care today. It's just criminal because the health care costs are just soaring. They're out of sight. People cannot afford it. And that is why we have to get the profit. We have to get the profit out of health care, right? And the time is now to put people over profits. 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 Okay. You may remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words about injustice in health care. These are, I will never forget them. He said, of all forms of inequality, injustice in health care is the most shocking and most inhumane. And that is why we always say health care is a human right. It is a human right. Health care is a human right. Health care is a human right. We will not give up the fight. We will not give up the fight. We will not give up the fight. So, this is especially true now, why we can't give up the fight, because of the pandemic. With the climate crisis, there will be more pandemics to come, more climate refugees, and more severe health inequalities. And that's why we're calling for climate justice and healthcare justice. They're inseparable. And we're calling on Congress. We're calling on Congress to pass H.R. 1976, the new Medicare for All Act of 2021. The time is now. The time is now. We demand everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. That was wonderful. Next, we have a pro-democracy activist and progressive organizer hailing from Montclair, New Jersey. She is running in New Jersey's 10th district. I believe that's here in Newark against Donald Payne Jr. Let's give a warm welcome to Imani Oakley.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Imani Oakley, and I'm running for Congress in New Jersey's 10th Congressional District. Yeah. And like so many people here today, I actually know what it's like to live without having health care. There were times when I was a kid, I'm an asthmatic, where I would have to struggle through the night because my mom's insurance faltered, and we couldn't afford to take me to the hospital. When I got older, there were times when I aged out of my parents' health care, and I couldn't go see the gynecologist who knew my body best and who knew what I needed as far as health care. And it's people like us that know exactly what it's like to have to make the hard decision of whether to go to the hospital or take on crippling debt. And it's people like us who know what it's like to have to figure out, well, do I pay for groceries this month? Or do I pay for prescriptions that cost $200, $300? And it's also people like us who get told to shut up and fall in line when we demand our rights to health care. So what it seems like is that people like us have a little issue to take care of. And that little issue is the people right now who sit in Congress who don't believe that we should have Medicare for all. There are people right now in Congress who don't care whether you take on crippling debt to save the life of a family member. And there are people in Congress right now who do not care whether you die because you couldn't afford to see a doctor. But those people who sit in Congress right now, we are absolutely going to remove and replace them come June 2022 and beyond. Because it's time they start listening to our demands for our rights, our demands to our health care, and our demand for Medicare for all. So today, I know that we all stand in solidarity. And when we leave here today, we are going to continue to fight, we are going to continue to push, we are going to continue to demand, and we will win Medicare for all. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Imani.
And don't forget to vote for me June 2022. I'm running for Congress in New Jersey's 10th Congressional District. Thank you so much, everyone.
And as someone who's been calling Albio Sears' office every week to get him to vote for Medicare for all, it's very lukewarm. So to get such a warm, endorsement of Medicare for all, thank you so much, Imani. Next, there's one thing that I hear a lot, that we hear a lot in the media when they talk about when Bernie Sanders, for example, was bringing up Medicare for all. And what is the question that the media always asks, the corporate media? How are we going to pay for it?
We're going to take it from them.
Tax the rich, maybe. We have someone here who might have some ideas about how to pay for it that I'm very interested in hearing. Please give a warm welcome to Ramona Masacci.
All right. Hello, New Jersey. My name is Ramona Masacci, and I'm about to explain the most significant part of our movement for healthcare as our God-given right: funding. I hope you can all take this information in, because it's the one thing in government that separates you and Medicare for all. I always envisioned a society where we can take care of ourselves and each other. I always knew that this was possible, but my spiritual awakening was not going to have empirical evidence that our society must create this and that it is possible. In 2018, I started to research, how is Bernie getting away with all the proposals? I went to the source and I found his economist, Stephanie Kelton. The information I found by peer-reviewed academic journals is completely in alignment with my vision of justice, our vision of justice. How many of you have heard of MMT?
Love it.
Modern monetary theory is a lens that describes the monetary system and how federal funding works. We've always been told that our federal taxes fund the federal government. We've been told we can't have Medicare for all because there isn't enough money going from us to the government. That we need to tax someone to fund it. I'm going to shed some light on that right now. The government is not cash constrained. They need to create the currency first before they can tax you. The economic model and our understanding of it has changed. Decades of research from top economists have found a more accurate model. Within your own household, you would need to earn money first, right? And then pay for your groceries and utilities and hopefully take a vacation. The government's budget does not run like your household. It must spend first and then tax. That model is called STAB. Tax and borrowing are secondary to spending. Taxes do not finance the spending. By the time the government sells bonds, the spending has already been financed. There is nothing stopping the federal government from creating money and giving it to somebody. They do this all the time with government contracts to weapons manufacturers. They can do this as well to fund Medicare for all, comprehensive health care. The government can't run out of money. It cannot go broke. It can always purchase whatever is for sale. This is very important. Your federal tax dollars do not fund government spending federally ever. Congress is the issuer of the currency. When they decide to fund the military, Social Security, health care, all of that money is new money. MMT calls it public money that Congress just types into a budget. The federal government's ability to spend dollars is not under any constraints. We are a monetary sovereign nation. We have the fiscal capacity to fund the American people. What we really need to pay attention to is inflation. The resources that directly affect healthcare are numerous. We need to invest in doctors, nurses, specialists, hospitals, clinics. Healthcare is directly tied to higher education and the training of these people and the infrastructure to build the hospitals and clinics. We will be creating jobs to serve the needs of everyone. The middle class will grow enormously with all of this employment. We must force our politicians to invest in us. When politicians and pundits talk about how are you going to pay for it, tell them it's the same way we pay for everything else. Do not let them pretend they do not understand. They all understand. We are so very lucky because behind the scenes, heterodox economists have been invited to the House and the Senate by both parties for years now. Do not let them pretend they need to tax you to pay for any of it. Us MMT activists and economists used to sit around and ponder, is Congress ignorant? Maybe they just don't know. I can now confirm they know. Every single one of them knows. Even Alan Greenspan, who is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, understands. He said, and I quote, "There is nothing preventing the federal government from creating as much money as it wants and paying it to somebody. It's well over time the federal government takes care of us instead of the billionaires that fund their campaign. This is all political will, not funding. Comprehensive federally funded health care, Medicare for all, is deflationary. We will be cutting the massive administrative overhead of private insurance. When we are able to address people's health care before they end up in the emergency room or a life-complicated health issue, then we spend less on health care. What about the deficit, you might ask? Have you ever heard of people saying, we're taking money from our children and passing our debt on to them? That the government needs to get their fiscal house in order. That we need to balance the budget. The monetary deficit doesn't matter. The deficit that matters are the ones tied to the lack of health care for over 87 million people that are uninsured and underinsured. The real goods and services that are tied to money is what matters. The infrastructure and human infrastructure that can facilitate those needs. We can no longer be fooled into the fear of the big, bad national debt. The national debt is a historical record of how many dollars are currently being saved in the form of U.S. treasuries. Spoken by Senator John Yermith of Kentucky, who is chairman of the House and Budget Committee on C-SPAN. The debt is the total investment the federal government has made over the entire history of the country, minus taxes. Attempting to balance the budget is austerity, and austerity is murder. We need to consciously increase the deficit by funding health care and the human resources that are necessary. There is no long-term inflation deficit problem. It's an artificial constraint. There is a horrific myth going around for a long time. Reagan started it. He said we owe money to China. We do not owe money to China. China does not hold our debt. China voluntarily buys government bonds for the interest dividends. It's quite literally an investment that can be paid back overnight if they choose to cash in. We are being played by both parties. They use the lack of this information against us. Every single time we try to balance the budget and go into a surplus, we end up in a depression or a recession. We have done this 6 times in our history. Stop the insanity. The reason why the government perpetuates this lie is to keep you desperate, so that you would do things that you would never normally do. Think of all the millions of dollars in public money we give as grants and subsidies to the pharmaceutical industry to do research for our health. Then they abuse us, so we can't even afford the medication. We will not be able to get healthcare under control if they continue this abuse. We must make sure the pharmaceutical industry is not allowed to price gouge us anymore. We fund them with our public money. They are here to serve us, not for us to make them billionaires off of our hard-earned paychecks. So you may say, why not just tax the rich? I'm all for taxing the super wealthy. They use the dollar against us, buying our politicians, putting out ads to smear people that actually understand this knowledge. Look how they're attacking Nina Turner. The fact is, every time we link our government's bills to any form of taxation, it either falls on the middle class that are just trying to get by, or we propose to tax the wealthy. And the bill hits a brick wall. Tax the super wealthy. But there is absolutely no reason to tie what we desperately need, health care, to that bill. Create a separate tax bill. So you can imagine my rage when politicians that fully know better talk about the rich paying their fair share, or they propose taxation in their policy. Don't let them destroy Medicare for all with this decisive evil nonsense. The government can afford anything for sale in the United States, including medical service. Medicare for all means all invoices are paid through Medicare using dollars Congress has appropriated. It removes the insurance liability of employers and adds money to the pockets of all Americans. You may ask then, what are taxes used for? They should be, but they are not currently enforced to limit the power of the wealthy from owning your government. They can also be used to prevent inflation. But a better method is to pay close attention to the resources that are needed and increase those resources before inflation rears its ugly head. It's also a tool to keep you needing the currency. Doesn't that just piss you off, considering how much the middle class is taxed? How does that relate to Medicare for all? We need to plan. Every district, every state will need to map out all the resources that are necessary to make sure we have a successful program. Evaluate how many people are in your district that are not insured or underinsured. Then figure out how many additional doctors, nurses, hospitals, and so on we need to address for the needs of these people. Do not allow the federal government to tell a hospital that emergency care costs $4K a night when it actually costs $6K a night. Figure out the actual numbers and force Congress to pay the bill. That is why we have government, to tell them what we need. Do not let them underfund your health care, because I can see the spin already. See, we told you Medicare won't work. We just can't supply what is necessary. That's bullshit. Have your local universities in your area do the research. Come prepared. Now you know what I learned just a few years ago from Bernie Sanders' chief economist advisor, Stephanie Kelton, and dozens of heterodox MMT economists. Dr. Kelton also served on the Senate Budget Committee. It's now your responsibility to learn more. We have a lot to address, but how we pay for health care is not an issue. Hold the politicians in your community accountable. This is one piece of knowledge that will change how everything works and get you the health care that you deserve. If you want to learn more about MMT, please read Stephanie Kelton's book, The Deficit Myth. There are online resources as well. Real Progressives, Macro and Cheese, Money on the Left, Modern Money Network, Deficit Owls, MMT Podcast, Activist MMT. There's so many resources out there. There you will find the heterodox MMT economists and the life-changing work that they're doing. Solidarity, New Jersey.
Thanks very much, Ramona. And I definitely need to read Stephanie Kelton's book. I've heard about it for many years. So next, we have an organizer and Black Lives Matter activist from Elizabeth, New Jersey. He ran for city council last year, I believe. Kazan Little. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. Let's give him a warm welcome, folks.
Good afternoon. I had to check my watch. I don't know if I'm still morning. This is an important issue here. As someone who recently resigned from one of New Jersey's major ERs, because I've seen the racism, I've seen the neglection firsthand on what black women and black men are met with in healthcare. And it is a complete shame. It is nothing new. And it needs to be called out right on front. Medicare for all, healthcare is not a privilege. It should be a human right. We know that. But it is up to us to demand that we ensure that our congressional representatives and our senators know and must direct the funds to healthcare endlessly and pour it where it needs to go. Why is it that when it comes to education and healthcare, we all of a sudden cannot find the money? But when it comes to wars, when it comes to a rise in funding militarization of policing, when it comes to the crooks on Wall Street or hiring our friends, right, or nepotism, cronyism, and greed, we have the money. Shame on them. Shame on them. That is exactly not what we need. And it is up to us to exercise power to ensure that they know we're going to call out the bullshit and say, we have the money, we know where it's coming from, but we also know, most importantly, where it should go, and it should go towards our health. It should go towards the health of our children. It should go towards the health of our beautiful black women and black men. It shouldn't be selected to see who deserves health care and who should not receive health care. Every single day, especially during the pandemic, when I was working in the ER, I seen a huge rise. Those that have not received health care that will not be treated for the coronavirus. Shame. Shame. And that is what led to their quick death. It's by waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and being neglected of care. Not just for what they are subjected to receive, but what we are owed. Because it is a human right. I am so excited that we have some people running for office who believe that it is a human right, who is not afraid to exercise that power to ensure that people are protected, to ensure that people are protected medically, Nina Turner, Cori Bush, who's already in there, Jamal Bowman, right? And then in the Senate, of course, we have Bernie, right? But unfortunately, that is not enough. We need to shake from every level of office to ensure we have people there that represent our best interests and our behalf. And what that will legislate on a mandate so urgently and so rapidly as if rent was due on the 1st. Because this is a healthcare emergency. This is a state of emergency. And we can't say we believe in justice if we're going to leave out healthcare. Because healthcare plays a huge part in how and who are medically protected. We have so much work to do to build power and to ensure that we demand Medicare for all. And it starts with not just calling our congressional representatives, but it starts with literally educating our neighbors. So many that don't have the time, unfortunately, because they're worrying about if or when the bills will get paid, or worrying about if or when they will receive their next meal. But if we just let them know that if you can sacrifice some time of your day to receive some beneficial results for our health, then we're on the right track. And that is where it starts. That is who it starts with. Our neighbors, our family members. So many who do not know what's going on because they just don't have the time and afford it to pay attention to this. But this is deemed necessary for us to pay attention to. We have the money. We live in the richest country on earth. The richest country. But the top country that definitely misuses and misfunds their funds well. Because they know where they want it to go. But we know where we need it to go. And that's a difference. I want to thank a lot of you all out here, so many people who've been in this fight for so long, who've been demanding Medicare for all and been demanding healthcare justice. And I want to thank you because for people like you who have been pressuring our lawmakers, who've been out there on the forefront demanding this, that is what we need in every single community. That is ultimately how we build power. That is ultimately how we take control and to ensure that we are protected. It's up to us. And I need you guys to say that with me. It's up to us. It's up to us. Each and every one of us to ensure that the funds that we pay taxes for, that we work hard for, day to day, that it goes towards us. And again, not towards Wall Street, not towards policing, not towards anything that is unjust, that does not represent our best interests, but that it goes towards you. So thank you for allowing me to speak. Medicare for all now. Healthcare is a human right. All power.
Thanks so much, Kason. All right, next we have, I believe we have a member of the Green Party here. Is that right? Yeah. Please welcome up Gubernatorial Candidate. Yeah, on behalf of the Green Party and running for governor, Dustin Young. Not running for governor.
Madeline Hoffman's running for governor. I am the co-campaign manager, so I'm here to speak on her behalf. So, healthcare is a human right, and it is something that is needed in this country. Now, I don't know if you know this, but thousands die a year because of preventable causes because they're uninsured. You know, some studies put it $45,000 a year. And that's horrible. You know? And not only on a humanitarian aspect, on an economic aspect, it makes sense. I mean, think about it. The United States spends 17% of our GDP on healthcare. All right, the average developed country, the average developed nation spends 7%. The next highest spending is 11%. If we cut spending down to 11%, we'd be saving trillions of dollars a year. We waste trillions a year on private healthcare. And it's horrible. You know? People are dying. We have worse coverage than these nations. We have lower coverage rates, lower quality of care. Yet we spend so much more. It's horrible. Just in New Jersey alone, we have 8% of the population who is not covered on health care. Over almost 700,000 people. And we spend tons for it. On the state level and privately and federally. It's horrible. I mean, and you know where this money is going? A lot of it is going to these private insurance companies, going to the hands of the 1%, but some of it's going to the politicians, the ones who make these policies that give them so much money. It's disgusting. For real change to occur, it must happen outside of the two-party system. Because the two-party system, a large part of it is bought and sold by these companies that profit off of our death. Human beings are a commodity in this system, and it's disgusting, and it must change. Not just on every level. These parties, they need to hear that we won't take this no more. That we must change. We must show with our votes that we are not afraid. All right? We are not afraid to stand up for change, for something that really can happen and a difference that can be made. Because in the current system, the parties are too corporate controlled. You can't change them from within. You have to change from without. So that's why I'm asking you guys today to vote for Madeline Hoffman for governor and Heather Warburton for lieutenant governor, and vote green. Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Maggie Hoffman and the Green Party, everybody. I'm Dustin Young. Thanks. Next, we're going to bring up the vice chair of an organization that needs no introduction here in Newark. We are the vice chair of the People's Organization for Progress, Larry Adams.
Thank you. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Sisters and brothers, friends, comrades in struggle, enemies who are hiding in our ranks to derail the people's movement. You will fail, we will win. As said, I'm Larry Adams. I'm the vice chair of the People's Organization for Progress. I'm not Larry Ham. Unfortunately, our chairman had other organizing commitments. So I'm sent to represent POP and to bring to this assembled body our message of solidarity in the struggle for a human right. It's not a newfound position for the People's Organization for Progress. 30 years ago, it was the number 6 of 10 core demands of our organization. And we demand the establishment of a system of universal health care in the U.S., which will enable all people to receive adequate and proper medical and dental care at all times. So it's not new for us. We've been raising this demand and uniting with different forces. And so we're glad to be here today to give solidarity to M4A, IUC, to our revolution, and other organizing forces who are present and individuals who recognize the importance of this demand and have come out. We're proud to participate on the Newark battlefront on this National Day of struggle for Medicare for all. That's the task that's before all of us, to raise the demand, to build a movement from the bottom up that will put forward what the people need, not what the corporations and the profiteers need. So, specifically, we join with you in raising the demand for the passage of H.R. 1976. Sister corrected me. I thought I had read 1776. But I was the one that was wrong. Point is, it's people's legislation that we need to get behind. I mean, those of us who do street organizing, et cetera, sometimes we take an ultra-left position that legislative activity and electoral politics don't count. If it didn't count, they wouldn't be working so hard to deny us our right to vote and participate in the system. So some of us need to politically mature and realize that we got to use every arrow in the quiver. We got to use every weapon that we can use. Until we can do better, we use what we have in front of us. Why do we need Medicare for all? People have talked about. I mean, Campbell's very vivid self-experience of now being, chained to the machine, and people having to decide whether to eat or pay for prescriptions. I have a personal prescription. It cost me $230 a month for pills that are like the period at the end of a sentence. And 30 of them cost me $230, and I have insurance. That's with the health insurance. It still cost me $230. Now, somebody who has a serious illness will find that, in fact, there ain't no Cadillac plans that our enemies argue about. There are no Cadillac plans except Congress. They know what Medicare for all is because they have it. They can go anywhere and get any medical treatment that they need. So it's not, as the sister pointed out earlier, it's not about ignorance, it's about the lack of political will. And where does that why is there a lack of political will? Because finance capital runs our healthcare distribution system. The insurance company dictate whether or not you get treatment or not. Big Pharma dictates how much medicine will cost. And it's got nothing to do with what the people need or even what their costs are, but what's the maximization of profit that they can get. Why do we need Medicare for all? Because the system that we have is broken. Capitalist medicine kills. That's why we need a system that's by the people and for the people, and is administered by the people. Not the insurance company, not pharmaceutical companies, which is the current system that we live under. Why we out here? We're going to drag the most advanced industrialized country in the world as the only one that doesn't provide health care as a guarantee for the residents in its country. So we're out here dragging. We are the vanguard of social progress. We're out here dragging the United States of America into the 21st century, when the rest of the world did it in the 20th century. But that's our call. That's our task. That's our responsibility. It was the demand of the U.S. working class at the beginning of the 20th century, until the class enemies of corporate America and their political representatives in the Democrat and Republican Party and in the trade union movement dissuaded the American working class from defending its own interests. And they infected us with the ideological disease of anti-communism. So we didn't ask to socialize the medicine, because that word, connected with socialism, became pariah. And everything connected with that word became pariah. It is pariah for the class enemy. It is pariah for the capitalists. But we are society. So society, medicine is in our interest. And we must be proud and resurrect that demand for socialized medicine that's universal, that covers all in, none out, all in, none out, all in, none out, is paid for by society who will benefit from its interests. Because the current system doesn't serve us. And people have given the examples. Capitalist medicine kills. Capitalist medicine impoverishes. Capitalist medicine doesn't provide health care. It gives us management of disease because that's profitable. Instead of teaching us how to be healthy, how to manage our lives, it's how we can pay to manage disease. Because the chemical companies and big pharma are in power instead of us. People have talked about the system as being inefficient and wasteful. We pay more and get less than everybody else in the world. 2/3 of the bankruptcies in the country are linked to medical costs. 50% of the GoFundMe pages are people trying to pay for medical issues. Now they've reduced us to cyber begging in order to struggle for life. Enough is enough. We got to say no. We got to build a movement of people to fight back. We got to come out of our individual silos of women's issues, of national oppression issues, police brutality, Medicare for all, and recognize that all of those silos originate from a common system, and that's capitalism that's killing us. And we got to unite the forces of the silos into a mighty movement that fights for people's needs. And that Medicare for all, universal health care, socialized medicine has been a principal demand of working people fighting back against oppression since the emergence of our class. And we must resurrect that fight and be in the vanguard of fighting for it. If anything taught us the inadequacies of this system, it was the COVID pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. The inequality and the inefficiency, the system could not provide human needs, and 600,000 people died in this country. And a fascist leadership at the head of the government, 600,000 people died. And are continuing to die from the residual effects of bankrupt political leadership and a system that's based on profits rather than people. If anybody should understand the demand for socialized medicine, it should be black people and other oppressed people, other oppressed nationalities in this country. Life expectancy for all of the people in the country has gone down 1%. 1 year, I'm sorry. Black people is going down 3 years. And all of that is really based on underlying comorbidities, which means that the system before the pandemic prepared us for death, not for life. The pandemic exposed the corruption, the inadequacy, and inefficiency of the healthcare delivery system in this country, and it points to the demand, the need for socialized medicine. And people should understand that the people that what they raise is the alternative is somebody had the appropriate sign, either GoFundMe, beg, or employer-provided health care systems, health insurance. Those employer-provided health care insurance only work to divide the class between those who had jobs and those who didn't, those who had jobs with health insurance and those that didn't. And when you need it, it's not there. People get a rude awakening that their health insurance, whether the Congress people call them Cadillac insurances or not, are inadequate. When somebody talks about who's underinsured, everybody who has an employer-provided health care insurance is underinsured. Because you got co-pays, etc., etc., and they don't meet our needs. What will meet our needs is us designing a system that talks about what the people need, one that's designed to deliver health and not management of disease, one that's not providing profit for the insurance companies. I'm gonna wrap it up, y'all.
We need more of that. Keep talking.
What's to be done? When I start out, when most pop speakers start out, we say power to the people. That's not just out of the nostalgic recognition of the important contribution of the Black Panther Party in the struggle to transform this country. It's to raise the political demand that has to be the object of all of our organizing. To transfer power, and in this context, to transfer power from the insurance companies, finance capital, big pharma, and corrupt politicians to the people. So power to the people has to be what's in our minds at all times. How do we transfer power from them to us? This struggle will be a hard and long one. It's going to put us directly into contradiction with finance capital, who run the imperialist capitalist system. Those are the big bosses. Those are the big bosses. All they do is shuffle money around and run the world.
That's right. That's right.
And for us to demand Medicare for all, we'll be taking a big chunk out of theirs. So be prepared for a long and hard fight. That economic demand, though, requires political organization. So that we got to defend our rights to participate and vote. And so I call on everybody to contact their congresspeople, to come out to the grassroots organizing effort for the For the People Act Monday at who's the Gusano from? That's our Senator Menendez. Senior moment, y'all. Monday at noon, Poor People's Campaign is mobilizing at Menendez's office to raise the demands, including for Medicare for all. What did I say? What did I say? Oh, no, not Menendez's office. At Booker's office, down around the corner. Right, he moved out. Defend voting rights, go to D.C. on the 28th of August with a national mobilization to push back against the concerted efforts to disenfranchise the voting population. Build our organizations that are necessary because the current ones, Democrats and Republicans, are falling short on the demands. Comrades and friends, with you we raise the demand Medicare for all in, none out. Defend our voting rights, save democracy. And long live the people's fight for health justice. Health care is a right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Adams. Thank you for People's Organization for Progress. Really appreciate it. Wow, what an incredible slate of speakers that we just heard from. A lot of different ideas, a lot of different organizations, a lot of people in this state are clearly passionate about this issue. Here in, I represent the Newark, New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America, our Medicare for All working group. I think we're about to transition to the March phase of this march. Now that we've heard all of these ideas, yeah, very excited. We're going to be walking down Broad Street and then going over Market Street to go to the Horizon BCBS building. I don't know if we actually have street access, right? We're going to stay on the sidewalk, and so we're going to, a couple things. The first thing, visit right where Bennett is sitting here. There are a couple extra signs. There are also a ton of these business cards. These business cards are for NNJ, DSA, Medicare for All. You pick one of these up, it has a QR code on it. You pick up this, if you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to our link tree. There you can call your Congress people weekly. We have scripts set up. Where you can call them and make sure that they know that they need to be on co-sponsor HR 1976, the Medicare for All Act 2021. If you have a high medical bill or a friend or a family has a high medical bill, contact our Instagram page. It's called The War on Health, New Jersey. Contact us. We want to share your story. There's a lot of other local health initiatives that we also want to be getting started that we'll be putting up there. It was great to hear from people organizing unions. It was great to hear from people talking about new monetary systems. Great to hear from organizers here in Newark and people running in political campaigns. It's hot out today. There's a cooler over here where Matt is standing. Can you wave your hand, Matt? We've got water, we've got snacks, we've got juice. So please stay hydrated out here today, folks. We don't want anyone fainting on the walk over there. Please grab some water, and then we're going to meet shortly by that PSE&G sign, getting in sort of lines of 2 or 3 people, because we are limited to the sidewalk, and we're going to be marching. And socially distant. Socially distant. That's right. Thank you, Larry. So once again, thanks to, by the way, we have Adrian Morin on the bass here and Kevin Norton on the drums. Thank these wonderful musicians for coming out and performing for y'all. Again, my name is Camblicated, the Bionic Rhapsodist, and this is the March for Medicare for All. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. People over profits. People over profits. Healthcare for all.
So everyone, thanks. Thank you guys so much for all coming out here. We're gonna start heading, like Campbell said, to the sign right there. We'll start filtering there. Definitely get water so that no one's dehydrated. We're gonna try to, like I said, line up, kind of like space yourselves out a little bit if we can for distancing purposes. We're probably gonna lead with the pop folks are there with their Medicare for All sign. We're probably gonna lead with that sign, and we'll get going in a couple minutes.
Folks, if you've been watching the feed,
and we'll be marching in about 5. Thank you so much, all.
if you've been watching the feed, we're about to start the march. We're basically lining up, so take a little moment. We may get disconnected in the process. If we are, we're going to be back. So hang in there. This is just the very beginning of our grassroots, no politician movement, and I think we're going to have many more of these in order to start moving the needle. We've had one politician running for office appearing here in person, Imani Oakley, which I've spoken with before. She's a progressive, running for Congress, District 10 in New Jersey. Aside from that, we have not had any any actual politician, any congressional people, anybody join us, which says a lot.
Let's, all right, we're doing okay. Let's head over to the PSNG sign. We'll bring the cooler as well. We'll have it down there. We're going to start marching in maybe 2-3 minutes. And try to start sorting yourselves. This will be an interesting little collective experiment. Let's see if we can try to sort ourselves into 2 or 3 wide, because we don't have, we were not permitted to go in the street, and we also want to be safe. We don't want any pedestrian vehicle collisions. We want to avoid that. So, all right, good, great. Thank you guys. That looks good. Yeah.
We're going to go down to Broader Market and make a left.
This is a very good line. Thank you so much.
Really doing good. We can help you.
All right, stragglers, anyone? I think Bob, others at the front when we're ready. I think we're ready to go. Yeah, ready to go.
I don't have one, but we should just up there with the.
I think they're just waiting for us to take off.
I know.
Okay.
All right, guys. Let's go.
All right, you ready?
Help's here.
Good fight. MMT.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time.
Healthcare is a human right.
I'll block it.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight. Go. Stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and
the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. 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 Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Let's go on the outside of the sidewalk. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. I don't know. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. And verse 27. My sheep hear my voice.
Out here to let your word come to the sheep of God, to the children of God.
And I know them, and they follow me.
Guess what? You're going to follow. If it's your time to follow, you're going to follow. But our job is just to be here and teach the Bible. Teach our brothers and our sisters that they are the children of God, their families, and He's going to do. That's all we can do. Read.
My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, and I give unto them eternal life. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. 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 Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now is the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now is the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight.
Respect what y'all doing. I'm with this. I can't even go to your house.
Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Yeah. Okay. Time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. What's over now? Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Yes,
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm down with you all the way.
join us.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
And if only the people that said yes would join us.
Right.
Now's the
time to stand and fight.
Oh, we're going to keep going.
Healthcare is a human right.
No, we're going to keep going and turn right.
Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Healthcare is a human right.
The only way you're going to get something. Healthcare is a human right.
Now's the time to stand and fight.
Now's the time to stand and fight. Walk that forward again. Healthcare is a human right. Walk that forward again.
Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight.
There is a human right. Human right. Now's the time to stand and fight.
If you've been watching, police have actually been helping us stop the traffic so we can pass with our march. And taxi drivers have been blocking traffic too.
Healthcare is a human right.
Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right.
time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right. Now's the time to stand and fight. Healthcare is a human right.
profits. People over profits. People over profits. People over profits.
But it needs like a second one.
Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all.
People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. People over profits. Medicare for all. Medicare for all.
Come here in front of the Horizon Blue Shields building.
People over profits. Medicare for all.
And
People over profits.
there's some cars honking. There's a
People over profits. Medicare for all. 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 People over profits. Medicare for all.
supporters driving by.
Medicare for all.
You're watching just the beginning of a grassroots movement that's going to most likely increase in size and in scope until we finally are able to push politicians to actually force the issue. This is just the beginning, folks. It's a humble beginning, but this is the skeleton you're gonna see grow in the future. Grow some muscles and skin.
People over profits. Medicare for all. 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 People over profits. Medicare for all.
We really can't leave this all to politicians. And each and every one of us is really responsible to go out and organize and get involved and grow the numbers. I mean, we can't expect anyone to do this for us. This is something we got to do. So I hope next time you will prepare to march with us if you're watching at home. And get your friends and family involved. Because the truth is, until this becomes... it's all about the numbers. Until we are able to show significant force on the street, politicians are not going to take this movement seriously. So, folks, get off your duffs. guess we're waiting for a few more words before we wrap this rally, this march.
Hey everybody. I don't know if one second. That last one's pretty catchy. Medicare for all. It's not like experience you had with healthcare system, with your friend, family, everyone. This we can hear you. Well, I'll shout us out as I can. I'll say Hey. All right. Yeah. Good so far. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm glad we're all here together. Thank you so much to HOP for being here, New Jersey State Industrial Union Council for being here, Our Revolution, New Labor left, but they were here. DSA, obviously. Did I forget everyone? If I did, I'm really sorry. But there's so many groups and so many different people from doing different work already that were here. That's just been, that's what made me happiest about this. And I think it's a powerful thing. So what we want to do, we want, anyone who would like to come up and share with us, their own experiences, any experience they want with their healthcare, with the healthcare industry, an experience a loved one, a friend, a family member had. The mic is open. Please, I feel like it might be hard to get the first one, but everyone is welcome. We got one already. Thank you so much.
I'm Chris Morgan. About over 20 years ago, I was diagnosed as manic depressive bipolar. I'm a rapid cycler. I'm on the more functional end of the spectrum, and that's one thing that people don't understand with mental health. It's like anything else. It's not a monolith. It's a scale, and one person can't speak for everybody. But I can speak for me, and I can speak for what it's like with the healthcare system. I got a job 17 years ago, $35,000 a year, full medical. I was paying my student debt, but the only medication that worked for me was not generic. So I was paying $130 a month. I had benefits, full-time job. I had to get another part-time job to take care of my just my medication. That's not including doctor's visits. That's not including therapy. And there's so much misunderstood about the mental health community, and I don't like the term mental illness. I like mental health because nobody considers diabetes an issue. So why would anybody who needs medication to take care of something your body's not producing, it's just as important. And I know insulin's gone up too, so I guess the analogy is correct. But next time anybody asks you how we're going to do this, remember during a pandemic, the government gave Wall Street $2.3 trillion to keep Wall Street open for 45 minutes. Nancy Pelosi just made $5 million 2 weeks ago. So don't let them tell you that we can't pay for it, because we sure as hell can pay for it. I just saw another story that without anybody knowing, they increased the military budget. So it went up another few $billion. So I don't want to hear how we can't pay for this. Also, hedge funds and places like Blackwater have been for the last year knowingly and willingly creating a housing crisis right now. Then the government's going to bail these bozos out. More people are going to be unemployed. More people are going to be uninsured. Most importantly, most people are going to be homeless. So this is a battle worth fighting. It's a whole system, and you change one part of the system, you're going to have to change the whole thing. We got to start somewhere. So thank you very much.
So thank you so much.
All right, I'm just going to talk really quickly about my friend, a close friend of mine that I play basketball with. We went to a tournament about 2 years ago, and he tore his ACL. And that's bad enough. And but he has, he's working. He had full insurance, and he went to a hospital to get the surgery, and you know what happened? They put him on the wrong floor, and the surprise bill that came to him was $79,000. So this guy is fully covered. They didn't tell him that he was going to be put on the wrong floor of the hospital, and that was just a horrible bureaucratic system that's built to overcharge us, to make us give up our rights to healthcare. For him, his wife had to call the hospital about dozens of times, and they finally settled to a bill that was a couple $1,000s. And we know that's not right, and and we know that system is built in place purposely to keep us in debt, in servitude, and it's a horrible system. And I'll say one other thing for my friend. I encouraged him to come to my congressman's town hall in Congressional District 6, and that's with Frank Pallone, and he has a lot of power to do what's right. And he's not there. He's not doing what's right for us. He co-sponsored Medicare for All, but he has not said anything about it. Is kind of performative for him to be able to say that he did it. He did not tell any of his constituents, and people in my org has talked more about him co-sponsoring that than he has. So it's a real shame to see that. And I'm in this fight. We're a lot of people in my organization in this fight. People here are in this fight. And one thing that we are fighting incrementally as well, and that's not, that's a little bit discouraging for us. Our representatives are not really talking about Medicare for All right now, and we might, a part of me definitely does not agree with that. But at the time when Joe Biden became president, I was going to be happy if he lowered the Medicare age to 60. So we have a chance to fight for that. And we have we have a representative right now in Congress that is very hard to convince. He's very entrenched with the health insurance company, and that's Bob Menendez. All right, so we need to push him on this issue of Medicare expansion. So with Medicare expansion, we'll lower the Medicare age from 65 to 60. We'll also allow the Medicare to negotiate drug prices, and that's a huge thing. That will be a huge savings for us. And we also include vision, hearing, and dental in Medicare, and that's not included in Medicare right now. So that's a huge expansion for us. That's what we're fighting right now in this administration. The event will be on next Friday at 11. We're going to be in Jersey City at Menendez's office. So we're going to push him there. We want Medicare expansion, and it's what I'm hearing is right now it's winnable in this year. So that's what we're going to fight for this year, and we're going to fight for that, and then expand it in the upcoming years. So if anyone's interested, you can come talk to me about that, and and let's push him. Let's push Menendez. Let's go.
Hi guys. What's up? Alright, my name is Gian. And I was thinking about what to say, but start out with like a story, I guess. It's more general. Basically, it's what happens in the system. So like you've seen videos of people in other countries reacting to what goes on in the United States. Like what it costs, how much to deliver a baby, it costs how much to do this, right? All these different things. And I just want to say, like, just to start out, like, for us to think about who the system is for, right? So like basically we have, like there's all these like raw materials, there's all this labor that's happening, there's all these moving pieces, and to think about basically how we want to harness it as a society, and basically what our role in it is. So basically right now the way it works is basically basically the system works. You try to get a lot of money, you buy a bunch of corporations, and then you just like basically farm labor, and then they make you money, and then you buy the political system, you buy everything. But there's other ways to run the system, and if we realize the power that each individual has, especially when they get together like this, you can actually start to think about ways of like, hey, wait, maybe things shouldn't work this way. Maybe, for example, we're all here because of healthcare today. So when we look at healthcare, we can think about, okay, so should we organize healthcare in the country to make like 3 people $1 trillion? Or should we make it so that we use, the tools that we have to basically make it so that nobody that needs medical help can't afford to get it, etc. So just kind of like retooling the system in those ways. And then there's a lot of avenues, obviously. You could try to, convince politicians, etc., which is very problematic because basically they're just very easy to purchase. So I think that something like this is actually probably the main vehicle for change right now, which is people basically going like, this sucks, like, this is like done, it's over, fuck this. Sorry, I don't know if I can. Like, we just can't keep going like this. I mean, the way that things are going, like, it's more and more evident that basically things are just like collapsing slowly. Like, 3 people, whatever, are doing like really, really well. Jeff Bezos gets to go up to space, and then meanwhile, millions of people are, in poverty, etc., in the wealthiest country in human history. Yet you wouldn't know it because, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Pandemic response is basically like, oh, are the corporations good? They're good? Okay, all right. All right, for a minute there, I thought they weren't going to be good. And then the people, it's like, oh, what people? So yeah, that's just my message, is like, who's this, like, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? What, society, like, what do we want it to be like? And then just start moving in that direction.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone else with it?
Yeah. Less fiery than I wanted it to be, but it's something. Like, it's a skill. My end game is basically just like at some point start screaming and yelling, but like I'm not there. What the?
Hello. My name is Maureen, and my oldest son was 28 years old. When he was 26, his insurance ended with Horizon because he turned 26. And I was still working. I had a job with the state of New Jersey as a public defender. And so then I continued him on insurance individually. I continued through COBRA. So I paid $750 a month for his insurance to continue. So now at the age of 28, I had been paying the insurance for 2 years. He developed a severe heroin addiction due to a few things that occurred in his life. And I sent him into a detox facility near our home in Somerset County. The detox facility said he needed to be there 5 to 7 days. After a day and a half, Horizon yanked him out and said, no, he can get treatment at home. He can go to outpatient. He has sober parents, which they didn't know if we were sober or not. How did they know? And he should just go to outpatient and live at home. So after they yanked him out, we brought him to another rehab up in Sussex County, northwest New Jersey. And they said, yeah, he should be here for 30 days. They put him in their detox section, even though Horizon wouldn't pay for that level of care. And then they put him into the regular section after several days. And after a week, again, of being at this facility, Horizon yanked him out again and said, no, he should just go home, be with his parents and go to outpatient. I had to go and get him after a week, put him on a plane to Florida because I found a place on the internet that said they would take him and accept whatever crumbs Horizon would pay. He goes down there, he's in their facility for 30 days. Then they send him, and Horizon pays them some, minimal amount. Then they send him to some sober home, which was nothing more than a flop house down in Florida. And he comes home in a body bag in 2016. And it was all due to Horizon, who I paid $750 a month for his insurance, not covering his insurance. And back in 2008, there was a parity law that was passed indicating that mental health and addiction should be treated the same way as physical health problems. But Congress does not enforce that. Our politicians, our so-called leaders, do not enforce that parity law. And Horizon and other companies are able to get away with not covering what's in their policy. The policy said they covered addiction and they covered mental health, but they do not. They come up with these bogus reasons as to why it should not be covered. And why our Congress isn't having hearings about this, I don't know. Why they don't have hearings about the fentanyl that's pouring into our country, I don't know. I mean, they have other hearings about Trump, and that's fine. They have hearings about the riot that went on in the Capitol, and that's fine. But why not about, the drug addiction? 90,000 people died in 2020 from overdoses. The year my son died in 2016, 64,000 died. It went up to about 70,000 the following year. And up. Now it's up to 90,000 for 2020 because of the pandemic isolating everybody. And even less treatment is being provided than ever. So that's my personal story about why I think Medicare for All might have covered him. We wouldn't have to deal with a corrupt insurance company. And possibly parity would come into effect if we had that type of a system. And so that's my personal story. Thank you for listening.
Anyone else with a personal story, or a personal story of family, friends?
Yeah, sorry for your loss.
Hello, everyone. I teach in New Jersey, and when COVID hit, we went to Zoom lessons and all of that. I had two students who, over the course, that came to me. One said, "I'm sorry I couldn't come to class. I got COVID," which of course I forgave. But he also came up saying that he had to cradle his father as his father died of COVID. I had another student in the past semester come to me and say, "I'm sorry I'm not turning my work in on time. My mother passed away, and I live in an Italian family. She was the only daughter. She had 3 brothers, and she had to take up all the responsibilities of not only her schooling, but taking care of her family. I believe that the tragedy of COVID, it also showed what our government is capable of doing with the vaccines. And I even say it could be doing more, but it's showing that healthcare is not out of the realm actually do. It can take care of business when it's a choice that we're allowing merchants of death to take over our healthcare system when we could in fact just have our government do it. And I want to say it's a very deaths of despair are hitting Americans today as the economy collapses and all that. And I think it is our responsibility to make healthcare right. So thank you. And
Thank you, John.
Anyone else? No? Okay.
I'm very fortunate to not actually have a personal story. Brought up conservative, so being at this march, you can imagine what a big disappointment I am to my whole family. But I grew up in a household where Bill O'Reilly was on every single night, so I felt gaslighting from a very young age. But I believed in the Bernie Sanders movement, and I put everything aside, my life, my work, my husband, everybody, to work on the Bernie Sanders movement, to travel, to knock on doors. And when I wrongfully put my hope in the Democratic Party and I watched what they did to him the second time, I realized that no one is going to come save us. We are here because we are the ones that are going to do this. So I don't want you guys all know why we need Medicare for all. I don't need to repeat anything that anyone else has already said. But I just want to say that I'm looking at every single person here. I hope that you feel your power in this moment. There might not be millions of us here, but there are millions of us all across the country together doing this. And this is what it's going to take. It's going to take a general strike. It's going to take...
Yes, October 15th, general strike.
General strike. Very unpopular opinion, but we have to force the vote.
Fuck yeah, you got a general strike.
And I'm sorry, Frank Pallone, to be frank, you're not doing anything. You can co-sponsor whatever you want, but that's not going to do anything. We need to go to them. We have to go to their houses. We have to knock on their doors. We have to say co-sponsoring bills and saying the right thing is not enough.
General strike.
Yes, general strike. So I just want to say again, everyone here, pat yourself on the back. It takes a lot of courage to come out here and stand for something. The health insurance industry is a mafia. That's just what it is. The only people who should be profiting off of people who are sick and dying are hospitals and doctors and nurses and their staff.
It's a scam within a scam on top of a scam.
Exactly. We are essentially, every time you pay your insurance company, you are giving money to a mafia. Why are we doing that? American exceptionalism.
Because they bought the system.
We are exceptionally ripped off. That is it. That is what American exceptionalism has turned into. So that's it. Thank you guys so much. Everyone give yourself a hand of applause.
Thank you. All right. I guess this is maybe a last call. Although certainly, anyone else want to share a story? One more. Okay.
Hi everyone. I think I just have like a regular old ripping off story that I think happens to every single one of us every day. But well, I guess two. The first one is 16 years ago I gave birth to my son and I did not have insurance. I was in college at the time. And I was working part-time, making $10 an hour, and my husband was working full-time, making $8 an hour. And that income was too high for us to qualify for, I think, Medicaid. So I just went through the birthing process without having insurance. My son ended up in the NICU unit. He's okay now, but he was in the NICU unit for 4 days, and I ended up getting a bill for $60,000. And I just feel, I just feel that Americans shouldn't have to spend double the average salary of all of America to just give birth to a baby. And that's why I champion Medicare for all. Also, you know, right now we do have insurance. My husband has since got a very good job and we get insurance there, but he pays $1,600 a month. That's just for us to have the right to have a card to go see the doctor. And there's like payments on top of that and all this stuff. So I agree with the lady that was just up here. We are exceptionally ripped off and we need to stand up and fight against this because no other country deals with this like what we deal with. And, you know, we just need to work together and wake up our friends and get this passed. HR 1976. All right, everyone, let's support that. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else want to come up and talk about their health care there? All right. Last call. Thank you guys so much all for being here. Like I said, everyone said everything, but like I think the second to last person who's up here said, everyone here, we're the ones who are going to make it happen, not anyone else. I encourage everyone to check out what's happening in all the other cities because there have been, I believe the final count was 55 cities all mobilizing right as we were. Yeah. That's what's so significant, I think, about today. That's something to hold on to, and I think we should understand that momentum, but also that it's not gonna, it can only be continued with consistent work and consistent, you know, showing up consistently. Yeah, I just want to say personally, thank you all for coming here. It was really an honor to stand with you outside this building and in Military Park. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Abe. Abe did so much over the past couple of weeks to bring this together, along with all of our coalition partners and the DSA Medicare for All working group. So thanks, Abe. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you for coming out and making this possible. I was really moved, you know, hearing those different perspectives. I have my own health struggle, but then, you know, different illnesses, different things that people go through, different insurance companies, millions of different billing codes generated in this building, millions of excess administration here and in hospitals and pharmaceutical companies and medical suppliers all around the country, adding to our the insane cost of healthcare, you know, around the United States. So, yeah, what everyone here represents to me, and I'm interested in how you all feel about it, is some real potential here. I think that if we just think about a little bit of history, the past 30, 40 years, we have the ACA, we have Hillary Clinton's health care bill. Who remembers that from 1993? And all of these we're going to lock a bunch of experts in a room and try to to figure out healthcare reform. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. The last time that a major public health, expansion of health reform did occur was back in the 1960s with the expansion of Medicare and Medicaid. The only reason the ACA got passed was because all of these friends were brought into the room and sort of pitted against each other in a weird way, so that there were just enough forces, for-profit forces, on the right side of that legislation that it passed. But Medicare and Medicaid only happened after a 6-year grassroots effort to pass public health reform, and we have to finish that fight. We have to finish that fight. There's a lot of voices saying that we do need Congress to do this. We do need to force the vote. And in my opinion, this right here, us, is how we force the vote. It's by, so I've been calling Albi Osiris for weeks since March, and I have a good relationship with his comms director, and but they're still very much stonewalling me. But imagine if it's 100 people or 1,000 people calling every week. That's going to make a difference. Whoever the politician is, they need to understand that there is no political future in selling us out to these industries, to these insurers. And we have to get unions involved. We have to get our communities involved. We have to get our friends and family involved. We have to use a variety. I don't want to, we're standing right in front of them. They're probably peering out the window, sort of with megaphones or something. But I wish this thing would let me see in the building. Yeah. But
they're like, is this it? Yeah. Are the peasants come? It's like, no, not yet.
So we don't want to telegraph all of our moves here in front of them, but I think that just seeing this here, seeing what what our group is doing with some of the web tools we're developing to call, learning about what People's Organization for Progress, Our Revolution, the Green Party, and who else am I thinking of? All of our coalition partners that we're here today, they have a variety of strategies. Mine is a relatively new strategy. There are other strategies here that are decades long and with decades of experience to them. So we need to use everything at our disposal to win this fight, to make people. That's what force the vote means to me. That's what getting all these people involved. So this is the start of that. Please stay in touch. Please take these next steps. Please start calling. We call every Wednesday at noon. We call every Wednesday at noon, and try to get 10 other people involved. Try to get them to get 10 other people involved. Try to have the hard conversations with unions to say, look, we know how hard you fought for this employer health insurance that you have, but you're still getting screwed. Have you ever had to use it? Musicians, we've been working the gig economy before there was a gig economy, but Uber drivers and all of the misclassified employees, we're increasingly in this realm where everybody's an independent contractor. That's a huge sector of the economy, of the workforce, that needs to be organized. And they actually just went on strike. A bunch of rideshare workers went on strike this past Wednesday. So we have to start thinking about all of these sectors, including non-traditional sectors, and including the ones that have been de-unionized and forced out of, forced out of having a good job with good benefits, and remove health from employment. COVID was a disaster. COVID was a disaster. They definitely know that. So thanks once again. I don't mean to keep you any longer. Really appreciate everyone being here. Healthcare is a human right. Let's get Medicare for All done.
A hand for Campbell and Abe pulling this together. A hand for Campbell and Abe for pulling this all together. Appreciation. It's not easy.
Thanks, everyone. So I think we're going to sort of disperse at this point. I'm also amazed by how popular this is, just hearing all the people honking going by. It's clearly something that a lot of people are fired up. It means our job should be pretty easy, right? 70 or 80% of the country in exit polling last year wanted this done. So we can't let that energy dissipate and get distracted. We need to keep it focused. We need to, in music and in jazz, they talk about having, sometimes I'm really white hot about this, by the way, but there's, we need to have more of a quiet fire about this, like a controlled burn. We need to sort of like channel that energy and that energy, that anger into sustained action.
Consistency, yeah.
Consistent action, that's right, that's right. So once again, thanks so much. Let's all stay in touch. Please contact us at the DSA Medicare for All Working Group. There's an email there in the link tree. So let's make this happen in New Jersey.
And this concludes our show.
So yeah, this culminates like our event here, and you know, as well, I think the national stuff is continuing to happen. I guess I don't know where you all came from or where you all parked.